Where does this courage come from? Maybe from the absolute determination to provide the user, our customer, with a product that really does help them.
He possesses an incredibly broad knowledge, which surely must have helped him to do what he did so successfully. It is highly likely, however, that he would have done it anyway.
The aim was, actually, to do it all ourselves.
Deep in southern Germany, there is a company that has been helping rescuers across the globe to save lives for 35 years. The history of the company is closely linked to the history of a family and the idea of a courageous pioneer. This film is about his idea, which today serves human health protection in over 60 nations worldwide.
A lot has changed, I'd say. Some 30 or almost 35 years ago now.
As for me, the story goes way back. I was 8 years old when it all started. I painted a picture in play school. The theme was, "What does your dad do?" For me, it was just a guy carrying a portable defibrillator, which essentially looks like a suitcase. So it was difficult for me to convey this theme, but I knew what it was and grew up with it. I also grew up with medical technology.
I remember we were sitting at the dinner table. My mum was washing the dishes, and then Dad came home, but there was barely a word spoken between the two of them. I'm not sure what was said that evening, but all I do know is that my dad had lost his job. 4 small children, my youngest sister had just been born, and for my mum, the pressure was enormous too. Initially, it meant a lot of things had to be given up, yes, and then Dad went into setting up his own business. And this was something that I experienced as something rather positive, because Dad was around more.
As a child, you notice that something is changing in the family environment. And the first consequence was, first, that my father was more at home. In the basement, his laboratory, as we used to call it, pushing ahead with the project.
That was the kind of germination of GS, and I found that positive, because Dad wasn't there, I mean mentally not there. He was always an inventor and lost in his thoughts, but he was always approachable and there for us. And we could play there, so we immediately had contact with people.
As I said, I had a loan. It was actually the only loan the company ever needed. I had a startup loan, and of course I had sales contacts. That was important. I already had a guarantee, more or less, that if the product was good, it would get accepted. That was a big risk. I first had to develop it and then sell it, and I just about managed it. The first return on the outgoings arrived just in the nick of time. Yes, and since then, things have been constantly on the up and up, bit by bit. You can see the company's history in the buildings, the 4 building sections. That's how it's continually developed.
Following the birth of the quality brand Corpuls, spatial growth continues to be driven by rapid innovative growth. After just 6 months of development, the striking orange evolution, named Corpuls 200, promises the following revolutions thanks to its divisibility. In one swoop, the Corpuls team surprises the market with constantly new defibrillation and patient monitoring solutions that also serve individual user needs. With patented pedal solutions, satellite and fax transmission, autonomous pacemakers, 12-channel ECG and more, Corpuls continues to set new standards that will cause an unprecedented revolution across the entire market in 2006.
The development of the Corpuls 3 was incredibly exciting for me.
And to this day, I can still recall the moment the idea of the modular device was born. We were at an air rescue trade show, sitting in a rescue helicopter, together with a client, pondering where best to attach a defibrillator inside the aircraft. It was right there that the idea was first voiced. Well, ideally, we ought to build a two-part device. And then I went one better and said, why stop there? Make it 3 parts. If I had thought of all the difficulties this brings with it, then I would have been better off keeping my mouth shut. But subsequently, of course, success has proven us right.
When you think back like that, you also feel connected to the part that you designed yourself and to the part that has sort of been with you since childhood.
Begleitet hat.
Today, some 35 rather successful years in business later, the Corpuls brand is internationally a welcome aid everywhere where human life is protected and saved using the latest, most innovative and highly customized medical technology around.
The bottom line was, and always will be, to save lives. It is the be-all and end-all.
With just under 10 million heartbeats per day, 200 members of staff at Kaufering ensure that more than 60 countries can successfully deploy Corpuls products in more than 54 million incidents annually to save lives, wherever they may be in the world. Rescue services and emergency doctors on the water, in the air or in the mountains, whether in the military, in the fire brigade or clinic, in situations where a patient demands your full attention, you must be able to blindly rely on your medical technology. That's exactly why Gunther Stempler founded Corpuls in 1982.
Cor, the heart, pulsare, to beat, hence corpuls, literally.